you guys aren't familiar with this project, essentially what happened was my sister, who does a lot of my property management, and Mike, they decided to pair up and they were going to take this on as their first flip.
So day one, it started off on the wrong foot. So it kind of frustrated me right away. The first day, he just tore them all out. I showed up at the job site and they were all in the dumpster. They're all smashed. And he's like, I was like, why didn't you tell me about this? And he was like, oh no, it's just I didn't think about it. So the thing is, we didn't go with them just because of the budget, but then we actually went with the cheapest guy. But I didn't check his references. He told us.
Let's stop right there.
The cheapest guy.
Yeah, so went ahead and checked references for one guy, and then the other guy, we just kind of were like, you sound good, we'll go with you.
We didn't really discuss that, but that's actually a decent screw up.
He took the initiative his way many times on this project.
A big reason he probably decided to go with the laminate versus vinyl, he had screwed up his quote initially and didn't include the cost of flooring. Then once he found out we expected that flooring was included in the quote, then he started trying to find corners he could cut so that he could still come in on budget while not cutting into his profit margins. What is up YouTube, Matt McKeever here, and in today's video we're going to be discussing a flip project. It was Mike's first flip, it was kind of mine and Jeff's first flip too. And you guys have been asking for real life examples of deals and projects that maybe don't go exactly according to plan. Well, that's exactly what you're going to get in today's video, is us breaking down Mike's first experience flipping. It's got all the classic things that you'd expect to hear in someone's first flipping tale. It's got contractors saying things that they don't do. It's got contractors doing things they don't know how to do, and real estate agents that are super demanding, and clients that want to use the property for something other than we built the property for. So yeah, this is a perfect example. And what we're going to do, this is a different style of video than normally what we do on my channel. We actually shot the video. It was Mike's first time on camera. I thought Mike was a little bit stiff on camera and he was a little bit scared about what to say and not say. So I thought, let's do a reaction video to that first video, and then we're just going to share with you guys our tips, our numbers, and a whole lot more in today's video. Alright guys, I'm really excited to bring you this project in this video because first time seeing yourself on camera, involving Mike and Jeff, and so there's a lot of lessons to learn during your very first flip, and they're going to break it down for us in this video.
Okay, so diving right in, Mike and I were involved in this flip, and Mike, to start the events, what happened here? How did we even get a contractor?
Yeah, so this was the first flip for me, managing my first flip and kind of finding contractors.
How do you feel about your handwriting right now?
It was. I've heard so many times that it was so hard to find contractors. That's bullshit.
It's okay, I have bad handwriting too.
I do as well.
That's why we made you do it.
I need to not have that marker in my hand because I'm like going crazy. Different job sites for one of them. We really liked the guys, but they came in with a really high quote, but their stuff was really high quality. So the thing is, we didn't go with them just because of the budget, but then we actually went with the cheapest guy, but I didn't check his references. He told us.
Let's stop right there.
The cheapest guy.
Yeah, so went ahead and checked references for one guy, and then the other guy, we just kind of were like, you sound good, we'll go with you.
And there's a bit of backstory here, right? Because it was someone that we got from the network. That person had been using them in the past and was working out okay for a while, but then it went sour. Well, and we didn't find out it went sour.
Exactly. Like, he reached out and was like, hey, I've worked with this person, and this person. We're like, good. Red or green flag, green flag, green flag, right?
Yeah.
And that just...
And I had texts from people in the network, and they were like, you're not using this guy, are you? And I'm like, yeah, we are. He's like, I don't want my name associated with the referral at all to that. And I'm like, oh, great.
Probably should have asked this person if they actually had good.
And I think we get into it in the video, but this guy had no address on his invoices or anything. It was just a
P.O. box.
P.O. box is like...
That's another thing to know.
Red flag.
Yeah.
All right, good. Yep.
Yeah, I've worked with this person and this person and this person. They're all in our network, so I was like, oh yeah, this guy's awesome, right?
So yeah, I guess potentially some lessons learned. Talk to those people in our network and see what they thought.
Yeah. So I thought if he was saying, yeah, I've worked with them, I already thought that was a good thing. Didn't take that extra step to ask those certain people. So a huge mistake there, because I found out later this guy kind of is.
We got some other problems. So, all right. So we started the job. So day one's going on now. What's happening on day one that you saw?
Yeah, so day one, it started off on the wrong foot. So it kind of frustrated me right away. So basically, it was. We had a kitchen in here, and we wanted to use that in another property just to kind of throw it in as a cheap option for a low-end rental, right? So basically, we just asked him to nicely take off the covers, which is pretty simple. And the first day, he just tore them all out. I showed up at the job site, and they were all in the dumpster. And I was like, what the heck? Maybe that's just, there's only a couple in the dumpster. I check inside, they're all gone. They're all smashed. And he's like, I was like, why didn't you tell me about this? And he was like, oh no, it's just didn't think about it. I was like, wow.
Well, yeah, a little leadership fail on our part, because maybe they were impossible to save, but our contractor has to call us and tell us they are impossible to save, not just take the initiative and throw them in the dumpster. That's the wrong approach, and then just continues on. So he's already treating us a little bit bad at that part. He's not making the...
So how would you go about doing day one right? So like for the next flip, let's say.
Yeah, I think right away set expectations with the contractor and just say, hey, anything that you want to take into your own hands, I think it's good if we just chat about it quickly first. If there's anything that you're really unsure about, let's just chat about it first, kind of thing.
Probably having like our initial instructions in writing too would have been really clear, because we could point to it and say, look man, we said we wanted those cabinets saved. Why did you not save them?
And I think oftentimes you're probably busy with a million things. You know what you want to get done, and he kind of just was doing what he wanted to get done, and there was that communication fail right there. You just have to really spell it out for people as a leader, and that will eliminate a lot of errors.
Yeah, and something we kind of forgot to talk about at the start of this video is, if you guys aren't familiar with this project, essentially what happened was my sister, who does a lot of my property management, and Mike, they decided to pair up, and they were going to take this on as their first flip. One thing, while we may be razzing Mike a bit, I also want to give him huge props, simply because he essentially worked for free on this project in order just to learn how to manage a flip project, how to get a feel for it, and you understood that there was going to be a lot of learning experiences, and we understood that as well, because we wanted to be relatively hands-off, because we got a lot of other shit to do.
Phone calls, and so we're already like disappointed a little bit on day one, right?
Yeah, I got kind of frustrated with that. The thing is, you're right. I just expected, if you're gonna make decisions, not a huge decision, but if you're gonna make those decisions, you should at least ask kind of first. And then at the same point with the flooring, I mean, we wanted vinyl plank flooring throughout, because our original plan is this is gonna be a Fanshawe College rental. What do Fanshawe College students do? They drink beer, they make a mess, and they mess up floors. Vinyl plank flooring is a great option for that, right?
That was so annoying.
Yeah, we didn't really discuss that, but that's actually a decent screw up.
Yeah, I mean, I, again, in writing, would have made it a lot easier.
Like, he took the initiative his way many times on this project, and
like, let's explain too, a big reason he probably decided to go with the laminate versus vinyl was because he had screwed up his quote initially and didn't include the cost of flooring. Then once he found out we expected that flooring was included in the quote, then he started trying to find corners he could cut so that he could still come in on budget while not cutting into his profit margins.
It was frustrating. I went there and the whole order was there. Like, it was a massive order, right? And I saw it was like this thick stuff, and he said, no, it's waterproof, I said, like, it can't be waterproof, right? So yeah, I was really frustrated that day, but then that was actually the same day with the whole kitchen thing. Like, those were two things, and I got on the phone with him, and he's just like, man, it's all good, don't worry. But yeah.
But you should have been worried.
It's like damage proof. It's like unstoppable. But he ordered like whatever, it was 1,400 square feet of laminate flooring, basement, laminate in the basement, laminate in the kitchen, laminate in the freaking bathroom. So like, it just kind of got frustrating, and he was like, oh, well, I just made that decision because it was cheaper.
Right, and again, potential leadership fails on our part because he's making all these decisions, but we have the big picture in mind, and he might think it's saving money here, but that's not what we were trying to do, obviously, right?
Yeah, so that was kind of a challenge. So obviously, I was coming in to check out the progress of the job. I'm the manager. I was just checking out about twice a week. I realistically should have come a little bit more often, but when I was coming, what I should have done is not just looking at the progress. I was making sure, oh yeah,
So for anyone watching, in the comment section, can you put in how often do you go, when you're project managing, how often do you go to the job site, and like what kind of things are you looking for? That's going to really help me for the next one.
The kitchen's in, the tiles are in the bathroom, this is awesome, like we got a bedroom now downstairs. But I wasn't looking at really the workmanship, and that kind of, that was a huge mistake on my part, because at a glance, this place looks great, but then when you start picking it apart, like you'll see our buyer's agent did, once we start picking it apart, there's some like flaws.
I know, and then me and you were getting frustrated with them a little bit, and a lot of phone calls. But yeah, that probably goes back to the beginning, guys, really picking our contractors properly. And it is a tough job to find the right contractors, but it's doing that due diligence, asking those questions, and maybe seeing some of the work before we hire them. But it was our first flip, so we kept moving forward.
People get mad about my socks. There's going to be stress about the on the floor. I'm just saying.
My mentors, Jeff and Matt, they had to close on this house right away.
So we were just talking about finding contractors there. So someone asked me on Florence to manage the project for that. So I've kind of agreed to that, and I've already looked out to other people to ask for contractors, so I can start the thing months ahead, finding contractors months ahead instead of like weeks ahead, right? So I think that's going to really help managing that project and just make it smoother with people I trust.
So it was the weekend before one of the long weekends in Canada, and I wanted to get the property listed. Generally speaking, you guys told me it'd be ready for Friday, and I was like, okay, well we're doing pictures on Thursday, and then so they were so panicked. They told me they'd be ready for Friday. I wasn't sure if they were going to be, but it was the long weekend. What I wanted to do was get the property on the market for Friday so that people could be eating their turkey because it was Thanksgiving and staring at our listing. And I told Mike, all right, photography's Thursday afternoon. And like, you panicked, and I'm like, well, if you're ready Friday, how can like we not just like take some photos on Thursday? And that Friday, which you weren't ready for, we did list it on the market. I had no pictures of a kitchen because it wasn't even close to being done on the Friday, and no pictures of the bathrooms because they were disgusting and filthy, and the mirrors were not replaced, and so many like not beautiful real estate listing pictures to be taken there. So I listed it with just like house and some walls and some floors, and I had it on the market. And really, I don't think they were really ready for another week and a half. So we were like literally off by a week and a half.
Yeah. We weren't. It wasn't a full week and a half. They just started adding a lot of stuff as we're gonna get into.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was that Thursday. I was like, Jeff, why are you doing it? Why are you doing pictures? We're not done.
So I own the property with Matt, but I had to put my real estate agent hat on, and I was like, we got to get this sold because we had other projects we wanted this money for. So I wanted it on the market and sold. And in retrospect, if we had more time, we probably would have waited, but hard money is hard money, and we wanted to get it listed. And if the buyers did come up with a few things wrong, we knew we could just fix it. But we'll see. There's a lot of things that come up wrong.
Yeah.
We're not ready is what I was told, and I was like, well, what else could there be done on a Friday if I can't quickly do photos? We can move tools to the left and right and quickly take photos. Well, when I came and found out what photos I got, kitchens weren't even close to being done, and there was no way Friday was going to happen. And so I had all these photos that I could barely use. I had to throw most of them in the recycling bin on the computer, but from what they told me it was going to be Friday, it actually ended up taking like probably a week and a half more of work. So maybe lesson learned, that these contractors don't hit their deadlines. So you got cheaper guys, but it could cost you more money in a flip because of time. And I started, yes, I own the property, but I had to put my real estate agent cap on to sell the house for the guys. And there's things that I wanted as the investor to be done, but the things I wanted to be done as the real estate agent, and a lot of them weren't done on both sides. A lot of frustration, because what happened, we weren't completely done, and I listed the property because we wanted money for another flip. That's what, to close on another deal. And basically, we got a buyer in that weekend, and they ended up buying it with a condition saying to the buyer's satisfaction on so many little things. And he said he'd work with me. But it was almost embarrassing walking around this house nitpicking just little tasks everywhere that they kept picking us apart.
Like a new build project.
So it became like a PDI, a pre-delivery inspection almost type of a flip, because they just kept walking around, and I had the tape, like if you buy a new build, and I started putting tape on all the airs. And then the frustration part would be, we would explain this back to the contractor, and he would have excuses on it, and I didn't care about the excuses because I have a buyer that wants it to look this way, and it's just like more caulking and more paint. And I don't care if you never do this. This is not just somebody's parents' kitchen reno. This is a flip. A real estate person is buying it. Therefore, that is the person that we have to somewhat please to make it happen. So
so he had, like, at that point, he's getting frustrated because he has other jobs to be at, and then I'm getting frustrated because he's not here doing the stuff that Jeff is telling me to do, and I'm.
Like, some of it was so embarrassing. If you picture any cabinetry, the last cabinet, usually the handle's on the inside. This guy installed the handle on the outside of a cabinet on both sides. Like, I've never seen that ever. So then the buyers are walking around and being like, can we get the cabinetry changed around? And I'm like, yes. Like, it's just, that's the embarrassment. Or like, it was so much like, are you guys gonna caulk this trim? I look down the trim, it's not caulked anywhere. And it's like, I think we're caulking this trim. Like, that seems like it should be in the quote.
Behind the sink, big hole in the wall kind of thing.
Yeah, behind the sinks, hole in the walls, mirrors that had paint all over it. Like, are you gonna clean this? Yes, like, question mark. So it was tough because we did list it a little bit early, and then our contractor ghosted us a bit.
He was just doing other jobs.
He didn't pick up the phone. So it was really frustrating because the buyers were in a conditional period, and we couldn't get it done in their conditional period. So.
And then the buyer's agent went to Bali or something, right?
At the very end of the deal, and he sent it over to his broker. But we'll get into that, and we probably have a post antidote too. I'm telling you as the agent to make the deal happen.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm saying, I'll make it happen. I'll make it happen. Meanwhile, I'm running across town, getting here all the time. Like, I got to make this happen, right? This is the first flip, and then the phone goes off. He doesn't pick up the phone for a while. My phone was locked in my car for 2 weeks. So
so just frustration. Was that true?
Obviously,
he said it was locked in my car.
How we could have solved a lot of these.
So he didn't use his car?
That was one. I don't know. He said it.
Rental. But the buyers that were coming in wanted to live on the main and then just rent out a couple of the rooms in the basement. So what we thought. So what we thought was any student would just live in here, but these people wanted it as their home. So then it became a lot more nitpicking. And since it is like vacant and there's no furniture and there's no staging, they could see so many errors. So if we had more time, I definitely would have loved to stage it, and we probably would have got more money. But we had other this was just get this one sold and on to different projects. So that's kind of what we wanted to do.
So closer, like right at the end of the project, I had a subcontractor call me from my contractor that we hired, and I gave him my number because I came into the property and I knew the guy. I actually knew him from the past. And I was like, hey, I remember you, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, hey, here's my number. If anything happens or you need anything, just call me. Guess what? He did end up calling me because there was a conflict between him and the contractor. The contractor didn't want to pay him.
This is literally making my blood boil right now. Just bringing these numbers.
$1,000.
I remember your text in the morning.
About 10.
And I was thinking, like, this is the first thing Jeff's gonna wake up to.
To make an agreement, and like this was post sale already.
I think we were conditional at the time. And I have a million things going on. We're buying a lot of property now. I'm selling other properties, and I wake up from a text from this guy at 8 in the morning saying the sub wants to put a lien on the house. And
is that even possible?
I don't. Technically, it wouldn't. There'd be. it wouldn't go too far, but it's just one more problem that can always happen in your day, guys, and it's how you kind of like solve it, and then you kind of just had to solve it with the sub, right?
Yeah, so when I got that text right in the morning, I was like, man, I need to do that Tim Ferriss shit and like not check my emails till 10 o'clock because that was a bad way to start my day.
Yeah.
Probably bad for you.
Well, yeah, like a lot in this business, guys, as agents and buying homes, you kind of wake up with like so many problems. You can solve them by lunch, and then you get more problems. You solve them by dinner, and then it's profit eventually.
And then we cry about it and drink whiskey.
Bracelets, merch in the description.
Yeah.
So guys, that was the property. It closes tomorrow. That's why we're getting in here to film. But you know, do you want to go check it out? Let's go check it out and see some of the headaches that we had.
Did it close?
So, so then from right here, so the next day then we were going to be closing, and whatever happens in, and what happens in every time at a lawyer's office is the property will close probably at 5 p.m. or 4:59 or something like that. That's when we get the message. And we had to, for them to firm up, we gave $3,000 off after doing all this work. We still gave $3,000 off. Matt and I were just like, let's just get this off the books and let's get going. We can fight them over, no, $1,500 and try to do that. We're just like, okay, fine, you can have it. But the last minute, we get a message from their lawyer saying that they wanted $1,000 off still at the very last minute. And it's like 3 p.m. And I was just like, no. And our lawyer went back and said no. And then guess what? They closed without that $1,000. You got to really listen to the stories of who they are. And I knew that they needed this place. I knew that they needed to move in on this day. So I knew that they didn't need that $1,000 off. They were just fishing. So I just said no, and we got the deal done, and it closed at $375, I believe was our sale price. So
yeah, big lesson there for you guys that, like, you know, you really do need to read the situation, like Jeff was saying.
And yeah, I made the no call without even talking to you guys. So I could have screwed the whole deal over there if they didn't close, but we made it happen. So
Nice job.
Mike and I had to deal with in this property, but you know, problems are profits, guys.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, so we didn't do too much on the outside, but if you guys follow me, we can check out the inside. Just right.
And just want to let you guys know, this was on a limo tour before Matt and I purchased it.
Oh,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, the audience could have bought it.
Could have bought this, and Matt and I were just like, well, we'll buy it. And that's usually what we do on the limo tours. You guys come on it, and then Matt and I buy the properties.
Because there's also a sixplex that we did on previous limo tours.
And everybody said, that's really good. So we're like, okay, we'll buy it.
Yeah.
So thanks for not buying it.
You were like, that when we came back from the limo tour, he was like, yeah, so I got a property on the limo tour without even trying. What the are you guys doing? Like, wholesalers don't even have properties on the limo tour yet. And yeah, so that was kind of a funny trip for us. You can see we did the tiles at the front. This was all wood floors that flowed right through here. So we had really creaky old floors before, so we laid out new laminate on it. Bedroom, we didn't do much other than floors and paint, so we don't have to go in there. We were gonna do the windows, but they're a little bit out of the budget, and they're not that bad anyway. So moving on.
They just don't open.
This kitchen was a lot different before. So this kitchen actually went from here, and it had a little island right here where the stove was, and the stove was just right on the countertop. So we decided, let's just open this up. We took away that part of the cupboard.
You can see they're changed now. Those side ones actually have the inner handles. Before it was on the outside there.
First, he drilled the holes just on the other side and caulked it. And I was like, no, they changed the door.
Okay, I noticed that.
Yeah.
Contract that they wanted that added, and I had to weigh out what the price that they were offering and what extras they wanted throughout this entire house, and that seemed generally reasonable. After I called around to 2 days before we were ready to list, I'm like, is there a hood vent? And you guys were like, there wasn't even a stove. We forgot stove.
No, the stove.
No, we forgot stove.
Plan, because when I asked and it wasn't
Even thought about, so we had to do. You had to do that. So.
It looks a lot better. It's not just an open space right here.
And there was such a big gap. There's such a big gap between the stove and the wall. Like normally, if you're cooking, you don't want anything like fall down in between there. And whatever our contractor left for space for a stove was not industry standard stove size. So there was just a big gap, and then the buyer just picked it apart. He's like, what are they supposed to do? Move the stove over to the wall or push it closer to the countertop? And it's like, where do you want your giant gap of dropping food behind? And it was just like, another like, oh my goodness, like, okay.
Yeah, like even
He's like, I won't make you move the whole cabinetry over. I'm like, thank you. Like,
even though they were picking apart the job a lot, it was good for me because I was like, okay, I need to know that the next time.
and it was
the thing I'll check next.
generally reasonable requests.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it wasn't so far out of the blue. It was just like, and just embarrassing requests. Like,
And normally, I think contractors would just point that out, right?
contractors should know. Like, they should just know what
the. Like he was a handyman, not
yeah.
really a
So
contractor. To be
back to the beginning of the video, failure on hiring.
Yeah.
They just had to put a hole through the wall and then seal it all on the outside and hook it up to the electrical on the inside. So
Right. So these buyers like to pick this place apart a little bit because they were actually moving in as homeowners on the upper, and they were just going to rent out the bottom, where we thought everybody was just going to move in here as renters, and we thought we could get away with a few things. Well, we didn't really want that to happen, but once I was looking at the work, there was a lot of things that they wanted to pick apart. For example, just little easy things, guys. There's some end cabinets here that opened up the wrong way. Easy fixes that when the buyer agent was coming by and pointing at them, like a pre-delivery inspection. It was just embarrassing that some of the things that I saw that we had to ended up spending more money to fix. So lessons learned for us to really, be here on top of our contractor and make sure that he is doing the right job, and the references would be great.
Exactly.
We also had a lot of issues on this side of the kitchen because we didn't have spacers. Some of the doors just didn't open up and hit things. And the buyers didn't just come in and throw an offer at us. They actually came in and started opening drawers, and some of them didn't work properly. So we had to like rip it back out and do it all over again, which is horrible within a flip because you lose time and then more money, right?
exactly. So do you want to head downstairs?
Sure. You're not my supervisor.
We should have got metal.
This was a nightmare.
Kind of like the best idea.
I told
for
someone that my mom's friend that's the contractor about this, and he was just like, "Oh my
Our
god!"
contractor didn't.
First thing, the buyers come, they step on that and it slips right off, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
He used like Elmer's glue or something.
I just did that, and it kind of worked a little bit better.
It was like when we were joking the other day,
We have to have
no, it's a good property as you like hit the wall and like everything like falls off the wall.
Yeah.
Metal threshold, not rubber
Right.
thresholds on the stairs.
And it was embarrassing because I'm walking.
The shot actually turned out good. When I was standing down there, I was like, "This is a weird shot."
We're trying to sell a nice product, and the product's falling apart.
Hungarian experiment.
Yeah.
And
Good editor.
man.
Good videographer.
Moving downstairs. Yeah, so down here we had a couple bedrooms, but we thought we might as well
add a second one.
This was a nightmare too.
just add a small 8x10 room here. It was a really simple, just a wall and a wall.
So some lessons learned here. Our electrician didn't really think beyond what he was told.
Yeah.
And since this wall was here, there were some light switches behind the door here, which
Were for the common.
Again, this would have been me like going there more often and checking on quality, not just progress.
Common area lights, but that doesn't help out the other people. And common sense
Pause
is
it.
not.
Just think of me as the agent, as the buyer agent's walking through with me and saying, like, the common lights are in a bedroom.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm shaking my head being like, how is this possible? Like, this is supposed to be easy.
You couldn't quickly pivot?
But what if he wants to turn the lights off for everybody when he goes to bed?
What if he wants to end the party early?
Yeah. Just nightmare
When
after.
I was on the phone with him, and he was just like, I asked him that question. I was like, "Don't you think it would make sense for the light to be outside?" And he was like, he didn't say anything. I was like, "Scott."
He's like, I already got paid, shut up.
Yeah,
Probably.
Yeah. So that sucked.
Here, because we had to then spend money to get the light switch, which is behind you here, outside of the wall here, so that this could actually operate like a normal house. So that's unfortunate that our electrician only wanted to do what he was told and not say, hey, this doesn't make sense. So lesson learned again on electricians. You want to get a guy that actually
Yeah, it would have been
understands.
Would have been better for me to like. I should have caught that too, but when you hire a good contractor, typically they come up with those ideas and they should be telling you this is kind of like what's happening, this is an idea I have, and move forward on it. But for me, only coming twice a week.
Yeah, like not to contradict what we were saying before, but like the first when he was just doing things on his own without asking, I was like, what the heck, man? Like you can't do that. And then now when they should be taking stuff like
Some common sense.
yeah, like the stuff that they should be taking into their own hands, they're just not, and then the stuff that they are, you know what I mean? It's kind of backwards there.
And like not just, like I said, I was looking at the progress, not the details, which I should have been looking at small details like this a lot more, right?
I think when you pay for hire contractors, they just have that in their brain, and this guy was too busy doing a kitchen and didn't think about this. But he's got to be telling the electrician also, like, this doesn't make sense to not have a light switch out here. So we had to fix that. And again, you did all the flooring down here.
Yeah, so flooring throughout, again, we did the laminate. Not too happy with the laminate. We should have vinyl plank down here, but contractor made that decision on his own. In the bathrooms, they're both very similar. We did tiles throughout. We put tiles around.
Always put the toilet seat down.
Tops around, so.
For real estate.
The electrical panel.
I remember you telling me that in last walkthrough. You're telling me that during this time, last walkthrough we did, or I did in St. Thomas. I put the toilet seat down before I took the washroom.
Well, yeah, trying to sell.
Yeah.
Wiring, but we didn't remove any of the old stuff. We just disconnected it and added a new one with new wiring throughout there. So
What was the cost for that?
Just to do that, I think it was $2,000.
Awesome.
that wasn't as expensive as I thought it was. When I found out about the electrical, I was like, oh my god, this is going to get very expensive, right? But we found an electrician that would do it for cheap. But guess what? That electrician did that same thing with the light switch. So yeah.
So if you want to come into the bedroom here, one of the things that we did, because we're in a basement, we installed these egress windows. Before there was just really small windows, you'd never get out during a fire. We added these and they're all done properly, and they're in all the basement windows right now. This is the kind of stuff buyers want to see, so this is what I was really happy about, especially being the real estate agent, because I could promote this and I can market this because we have this. Too many properties I go into doesn't have this, and then therefore you're not going to get a higher offer. But unfortunately all our other little stuff kind of...
And so how much did those windows cost?
They're $2,200 a piece, including material, including labor.
And they might be a little bit more because we were right beside the installation company, so maybe around $2,500.
Yeah, $2,500.
The total bill was $6,600, if I remember.
66 exactly.
For all three of them.
And
some people, like, when I talk to different people, they're like, oh, I could find cheaper, and oh, that was a good price. So
that's what I was gonna say. After it's all done, I've talked to a few people. I've heard like 1,000 a piece. I've heard like 3,000 a piece.
And that's probably somebody not valuing their time digging out the hole. So some people,
they dug out the hole,
that's a lot of work too.
Window well, so and they tied it into the weeping tile, so that was really
because
good.
My friend who's a contractor said he wouldn't touch it for less than $3 just because it's a pain in the butt, right? So you got to find the right contractor.
Well, it was a pain in the butt because there was a tree right beside that window we were just looking at, and they were cutting the roots, and the roots were just solid, and they had to use a sawzall and stuff. It was.
And then the back ones had the deck.
Yeah, they had to cut the deck out, and then we had to replace the deck boards after.
Awesome.
Brought the price down a little bit on this property, but this was definitely a reason why they came, and they knew that the basement was good. They can have somebody in here. You can escape during a fire. So that's, everything is peace of mind for a buyer, and that becomes a peace of mind, and they will give us money if the product's good, and safety is important as well.
Yeah, and to touch on the windows a bit, I was asking around. I said, at first I was like, that can't be too big of a job. We're just cutting out holes and putting in new windows. But then I asked some people in our network, hey, like, have you done this before? And all I keep getting is these answers like, yeah, it's freaking expensive. Like, expect to pay this much per window. So I'm like, man, how am I gonna do this? But it turns out there's a window place right down the road from here, and they're so close they can actually just walk here to work. So they gave us a good discount on that. And then I just went with the cheapest version of the egress window, but it still looks good for a student rental.
So out here, guys, you can see where two of the egress windows are, and we had to cut the deck boards here, and you can see the new wood that had to get installed here. The deck actually did not extend this far. It was part of the negotiations where I saw a lot of the shoddy work that we had that they were picking apart, and he said it'd be nice if you extended the deck this way, and what I assumed was, okay, we'll do this, and then maybe you let me off on a few things in there. Generally speaking, that's what happened, but we gave them a little bit more room here, and you can see they can escape and no problem here. There was also an issue in the garage, and we're going to move into the garage. Hopefully you guys can see. So We completely ignored, and I think you completely ignored, the garage.
yeah.
And the buyers came in and they saw a lot of safety concerns in here, which were just safety concerns and not necessarily picking apart the property at all. This beam did not have any support. It was literally touching nothing up there, and then this whole thing could have came crashing down on us with really shoddy work previously when we bought it. So we had to install other posts to make it more secure on the
Same thing on both sides. So yeah, it's just a kind of safety concern to keep the roof jacked.
I think it just gets back to like our contractor was storing all the flooring in this garage, and just generally speaking, you don't think he would just look around and be like, huh, this could come down and crush me one day. And it's just, that was frustrating because it was just thing after thing that this guy couldn't think for himself, so we have to literally wind him up and point him in a direction the whole project and babysit him.
Say his name and like, do not like boycott this guy.
Let us know in the comments if you want to know his name.
Backed up because, as you can see, this was for some reason cut out, and like at any moment that could have just snapped. Right?
Yeah, with that it was like this thin.
Yeah, so I think we
Saw this when we purchased the property as a bonus, but then it became, we had to actually like look at it a bit and make sure it was safe, but we didn't really. You sent me this, what I thought was the dumbest quote for this.
Yeah, he wanted like a crazy amount of
Like
money for it.
$500 for some lumber.
Yeah, it was the lumber, and then I think he just saw the word structural and was like, I'm charging more for this, right?
Which
When
we
really
said
wasn't
no.
doing anything. So.
And I think he did it for cost of lumber in an
It
hour.
still looked hilarious after, like you look up. It's like,
Oh yeah, it was.
probably would have done that.
I don't know if we got a shot, but it was okay. So. Notice again, unfortunate because the contractors were here every day.
Yeah.
Why didn't they mention
Right,
anything?
yeah.
Why do I have to wait till the buyer agent mentions something? Safety.
Yeah.
You'd assume a contractor would say that's not safe, and they were storing a lot of their tools in here. So again, lots of red flags on this one.
Yeah, they were in and out of here, so they must have seen it, right? So.
Okay, Mike, our first flip. We got it sold. Let's put this baby on.
Nice.
And we had this on TikTok. Don't let her.
Yeah.
Don't litter. Look,
It's one of the most littered streets. Probably.
yeah,
One of the most littered streets. Probably.
yeah.
Nice. So that's the first flip. Anything else the audience should know or hear about?
Don't flip. No.
No, I mean, don't stress yourself out over little things throughout the job, because then you just want to literally blow your head off. And it's at the end of the day, it was the first flip, and I think we got good experience out of it, and it was a fun time too.
I think on future, if you get some of these problems, you're going to know how to deal with them a lot better. You're not going to be stressed when you wake up and see these subcontractors are putting liens on our properties 2 days before buyers want to firm up, and we're closing in 1 week.
Like 10 days straight of people asking me like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Contractor saying, I got it taken care of. And my favorite line was like, you don't have it taken care of because your sub is contacting me every day. Like,
Yeah. So,
no, it's taken care of, Mike. Yeah.
but lessons learned, and I think we made money. We didn't lose our shirts.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
So we're going to do a separate video for you guys breaking down the exact numbers behind this project. We're going to include all the costs. So this is not like HGTV. We're going to show you our cost of borrowing, the cost of closing, include all the costs, and show you the net profit after the project. It wasn't a ton of money, but I think it was a ton of experience for both Katie, my sister, as well as Mike here. And even helped Jeff and I understand, how to manage a flip from afar, because it's a lot different when you're on site versus you have someone on your behalf on site.
So this essentially means like Matt and Jeff could manage a flip in British Columbia or Toronto, just like wherever.
Or somewhere sunny.
Yeah, or
A resort flip.
So it's possible to do it from afar too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So I'm excited to share that video with you guys. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to my channel, and be sure to check out these guys on Instagram's handle
At Jeff Wybo, and I have a YouTube channel. So.
And I'm Nowicki on Instagram.
Awesome. We'll see you guys in the next video. And until next time, remember, making money is a team sport. There's more than enough money in this world for us to all make it, but if you're not saving it, I mean, like, what's the point? Thanks, guys.